Not another Copilot Wave 2 video. Yes, that's right. I'm going to take a close look at some of the things that I thought and observed within the Wave 2 launch. Now, this is Microsoft's opportunity to get people excited again about the developments with Copilot, get the investors on board and saying, look, we are doing a lot of work and here's what's coming next. And so we're going to see a number of different videos, or we have, which are setting the scene, talking about what is going to be coming up. But I want to bring a little bit of, I don't know, analysis, criticism, a little, fine-tooth comb kind of work as I'm taking a look at some of the things that I see. I'm not going to just cover 3 apps, but I've got a few things to just, pass comment on as I look here at Copilot. Now, I am one that is kind of on the fence. I do see some use for Copilot. I do see some amazing things that it is doing. I also see and feel that some of these things are being overhyped. So I will talk about things in quite a realistic fashion as I look at some of the features that have been announced. The one thing that I found that was quite interesting was name changes, and that it's no longer Copilot for Microsoft 365, but it's Microsoft 365 Copilot. It is now BizChat, which makes me think, are we talking about chat for business? And echoing back to some of those interesting names of products. But I guess in one sense it is simplifying things. It is helping people to not have to say quite a mouthful as they're referring to different products. And for consultants like myself who are trying to help people to understand the new technologies, it does help to have, say, something that is far simpler than the mouthful of, what was it? Copilot in PowerPoint for Copilot for Microsoft 365. There was such a combination. If you watch the Message Center show that Daniel and I do, then you'll get the gist of those lengthy names. Copilot Pages, what's all that about? Well, let's take a quick look at that. So the Copilot Pages was a hero announcement for Microsoft Loop, really, and it was under the covers. It wasn't really mentioned much. You had to look at the tech community announcements to see and understand that it is Loop underneath the background. But the idea with Copilot Pages is that you are in a one-on-one session with Copilot, you've thrown a few prompts at it, and you get your results back. And where are you going to store those results? Where are you going to get those great responses that you might make use of, and how do you share them with other people? So up until this point, it has been about copying that text and putting it into a chat or putting it into an email, putting it into a document. But maybe it's early stages, and the idea with Copilot Pages is to send it to a page and then be able to share it and collaborate on it there. And this is where the power of Microsoft Loop comes in. So what I have learned as we've taken a look at this product, it's much like when you created a Loop component in a chat, in an email, you attach this component and it allows you to collaborate with people. But it does differ a bit, and this is the case with Copilot Pages, that when I say send to a page or edit in a page, what it's doing in the background is creating a Copilot page, which is a Loop page, and it's stored now in a new location in SharePoint Embedded. So the documentation mentions that it's stored in OneDrive, and that in your OneDrive you'll find those pages. But if we take a closer look at that documentation, it also talks about SharePoint Embedded and a new user-owned workspace that's sitting in SharePoint Embedded. So that's going to make a few things a bit easier to work with later on. When you send that link to people and you're looping them in to be able to share in the results that you've got from your Copilot session in the Copilot Pages, then you can mention people, you can share it with people, they're going to get a link, and their experience of it is that they will open it up and they'll see it as a Loop page like we do with regular Loop collaboration. Whereas my experience of this, I'll be using the page within the Copilot experience. I can see it there off on the right hand side, and I can work on that content along with Copilot on the left. Now, we've dug a little deeper into this, and it will become quite evident as it is arriving shortly. But how do I pick up and continue that session? How do I continue a Copilot session and then find what I've sent to a Copilot page? So we're going to be familiar with a little icon up on the top right hand corner that allows you to open up the page that's related to your chat session. You'll be able to go back to that chat session in your chat history with BizChat, and you'll find your Copilot pages. Interesting, when we switch from web to work, that we've used that web experience and the web as a source. We've pulled together a summary of some information from somewhere. When we go through to work, that is another source altogether. This is the power of Microsoft 365 Copilot to be able to leverage those sources. Now, what we saw demonstrated in that video was, it is magic in one sense, but it is really leveraging the strength of the large language models and Copilot to summarize information, to go through a document that you have directed Copilot to pull out some of the details that you're asking for and summarize it. And so that summary, you can take that response and again, throw it into the Copilot pages so that your team can benefit from working on that together. So we saw a lot of that going on. Now, if you're thinking along with me about this collaborative experience of sharing Copilot results, I'm seeing that from my perspective. I'm collaborating on it. The team members that I've invited into this Loop page, this Copilot page, are opening this up in a web browser, opening it up in the Loop web app. But how do they do the same thing? Can they go to Copilot and then send some of their responses into the same Loop page? Doesn't sound like it. Sounds like because I initiated it and drove it, then I get that control of being able to go back to Copilot, prompt it, find more information, drop it into that page, whereas the people I've invited to it, they have to use a different experience to do that. Maybe they'll use Copilot within the Loop app if they have access to it. So that's an interesting part to the experience of Copilot pages. Now, one of the things about working with Copilot, prompting it and asking it for information, even in this space, if we're using Copilot for work, and as the demo talked about, I'm going to be pulling together this proposal or this plan for EV stations. Use this document, use this discussion that we had in a meeting. It really does need you to have some familiarity with the material and with the, I would say, the activities that it's drawing from. So if I'm going through that prompting experience, I need to know about that document or that proposal that we used last time we talked to a mall or somewhere that we were installing those EV stations, and say, hey, use this as an example from last time, take the data and then customize that based on the proposal I used last time. Now I've got to have familiar with that material, so it really does rely on that. For someone who's coming at this from zero ground, they don't know what's available in their organization, they don't know what to search for or what to reference, there's going to be a different approach to this, so keep that in mind as well. So the next one that I want to look at as an experience was the Copilot in Outlook, Prioritise my inbox. I found that quite interesting. Now, I'm often cautious around how much faith I put into Copilot within the ability to summarize things, to pick out task language, to assign tasks to me. So I will often want to check that over. And this feels like I'm putting a lot of faith in Copilot to determine what it thinks is important to me. Now, it's supposed to make these decisions based on who I work with, content that's in my inbox, previous discussions, I guess. It is leveraging the summarize feature, that's for sure, and that's something that's been in Copilot and Outlook for some time now. But I find it interesting, this new experience of, okay, show me the view now based on the priority that Copilot has assigned to it. You know, I look at it and I can see some telltale signs that are in the UI, that there's a little up arrow that suggests, okay, Copilot said this is high priority or this is low priority. And so when we choose to view our list of messages in the priority that Copilot determines, it is grouped together, high priority first, standard, and then low. And so we can work our way through that. There's a summary, a brief summary, like a line or two that we can see at a glance about what that message is about, even from within that list of messages. So that could be useful, just depends on what it's picking up on and whether it's going to be accurate. For something like they showed in this demo where it is time-based or time-sensitive tasks that are related to that message, get this done within 5 days, or can you get this done by tonight? Yep, then it's going to highlight that and probably base it on that time-sensitive priority. But what if it is? What if it's some other, I guess, less easy to understand language around whether it's high priority? What if it is, you know, depending on how you work with someone and how they speak to you, and maybe it's not as obvious in their emails. So this is going to depend on the language and the way that people write emails too. And you know, maybe if we're using Copilot to write these emails in the first place, then we'll be using standardized language to then get Copilot to reason over our inbox and then prioritize what Copilot has created from someone else to action in Copilot. I quite like that it does highlight some of the actions to let me see, okay, I should give this priority, and I can expand to see more of a summary. I think this becomes more important as we've learned with those longer email threads, that if you're catching up with things, that this might help you to truly catch up with the important emails that you might have missed from the 2 days that you have not been in the office. All right, so you can depend on that. Now, this other aspect of Copilot deciding what's important in your inbox is that you've got the opportunity to train it. I find that interesting because we've had a feature in Outlook, both classic and new. I'm a new Outlook user, and you're probably going to stop watching me at this point now if you don't like that feature or that product. But we've had for a while this ability, and it's been honed over time, refined. The UI has changed, it has gained more capability. Rules in our inbox to say, this message has come in, give this some level of importance. And make your decisions based on that. And I find it interesting that it makes sense we should have an opportunity to train AI to help Copilot understand what we think is important and do that consistently. But it's almost like it's a prompt to do that. We go up and we say, okay, Copilot, I want to show that this message from this person is going to be important to me every time. So when you reason over and you show what's important there, then do that. And so we're disregarding this great feature or features within Outlook that are already there, and now we're relying on this set of instructions we're giving Copilot. Can we get in there and adjust that? I noticed that when the person in the demo, Copilot is learning from you, and here it is, you've taught it 17 times or something to recognize messages and prioritize, or rather it was 18 as I've got here in my notes. 18 teachers submitted. Is that a gamification to encourage you to do this? And where can you go to find those 18 rules? Can I correct them? Can I remove them? The example that was given in the video, I think, was that this person or this kind of discussion is going to be important for a while as we're working on this project, but surely after a while it won't be as important. So can we say, Copilot, remove that rule? Can this not be important anymore? We'll see. You know, as with all AI tools, we're always encouraged with that faint little anemic grey text to say this is generated by AI, so do check for accuracy. You know, as we depend more and more on these AI tools from Copilot and various other products, we do have to find new ways of being able to go back and see those references and see, okay, so why did you think that email was important? Why did you prioritize that conversation? No, we get that in the product itself at the time, but how do I go back over and check that out? And that is really by doing the work, reading through the conversation and confirming that that is the case. I don't know how you're doing, but you know, I feel like I do need to check this reasonably frequently just to make sure, for peace of mind, that I'm not missing any critical details or not missing any critical tasks or action points. The last product that I want to look at and make comment on is the one available at Copilot and PowerPoint called the Narrative Builder. Now this one drew my attention, and I again refer to Daniel and I when we're doing the 365 Message Center. We saw a message come in that was about removing a long-held feature within PowerPoint that would do exactly the same job. It would go out and it would create a narrative for you for your presentation. It would build out that deck. It would have even some notes as well. It would have some guidance around it. And because that feature was being underused, it had been removed, and lo and behold, about a week later, here it is with a bit of AI smarts in it, of course. Copilot has the narrative builder. Now it does look clever. It certainly is an improvement on how Copilot has been working in PowerPoint up to date, up until this point. I know, early days, and I almost wanted to make a game out of it, was, okay, let's throw something at Copilot, make it come up with some slides, and then you've just got to present it however and whatever state it's in. And sometimes it was pretty laughable what it came up with. Now, it is definitely highlighting some interesting things in the direction about leveraging your brand assets, leveraging your corporate images library and your templates. So I really like that, because you know, one thing about the early version of Copilot building a deck for you was it could come up with all kinds of images. I did generated a slide deck on the merits of a grilled cheese sandwich, and it seemed to be coming back with the same grilled cheese sandwich each time. Must have been trawling someone's blog post. Certainly wasn't Gordon Ramsay, because apparently he's not very good at grilled cheese sandwiches. But this narrative builder, it's interesting. It brings up this, you know, you give it a prompt, you give it a topic, it comes up with what could be the outline of slides, and then you can shuffle those around. Now, that's cool. I can use that same experience, and I can change the order. I can see, I think there's a few references there to where it got its information from. I can build in another slide and throw a prompt at it again somewhere in position there to go grab some more information from one of my work documents. Again, you'll need to have some familiarity with that content to make sure that it is actually hitting the right mark. And then it builds that narrative for you. Like I said, it leverages the template that you might be using. It might be also going to your org assets library and pulling out some images. Really looking forward to seeing this work completely, especially around the using your brand assets, because at the moment it isn't quite doing that. I want to make my starting point. I've already opened up the template that I've chosen. It is the corporate template that I want to use. Hey, Copilot and PowerPoint, build this slide deck for me, this presentation based on these documents and these sources. And today it actually says I'm going to have to wipe what you've got and start again, and it's not using the template. So really interested to see what that looks like and how it builds out. Gotta say, like again, the UI for AI, I think was the coined phrase that Satya had at the beginning, yeah, I've got thoughts about that. it's interesting that we've gone back to using prompts and words and, you know, a chat panel down the side of each of our applications, and which is almost like saying, hey, all of that work that we've gone into putting into a UI to help us leverage the tools and features within each of those applications, they're still there, but we need to, we'll make our starting point with Copilot and, and words. Okay. So UI for AI. Yeah, look, I think that's all I wanted to say. Like, there's tons more thoughts where that came from. I'm trying to have a balanced view. I'm excited to see what could help us be more productive, help us to achieve more, as the phrase goes. But I'm also trying to keep in balance here that there's some skills that I want to hold on to and retain and keep refined and sharp. I don't want to fully rely on AI, nicely rhymed there, because I don't want to turn out to be, you know, someone who is struggling with the simple skills because I've lost the way that I can write things or my ability to search for information and pull these things together. I also want to caution us too that, you know, these tools are great. They're going to make things more possible for us. Always check the sources, always check the results to see if it's accurate, if it's good. But one thing that's also, you know, spidey senses and I'm cautious around too is just because we have these tools to help us achieve more doesn't mean we should be packing more into our day and constantly context switching. You know, AI is going to help us to keep across all of those different tasks and contexts. It's going to allow us to, I don't know, take back-to-back meetings and layers of those. So, you know, we've got 3 meetings in the same time slot. Let's follow 2 and then attend 1, and we'll be able to catch up with the AI notes later. You know, do we need to do that, or do we need to be a bit more choosy about what we focus on and rely on our team to help out with the rest? And look, I don't want us to have that expectation or our employers to have that expectation that we are going to be able to achieve more because we've been given a $60 per user per month license. You should be doing more. You should be able to keep up with us because we've given you AI to do that. It's going to take a lot more to get the benefits out of that, and I don't think that's the kind of benefit that we want. You know, it's all about having quality of life, being able to achieve more, but, you know, as we achieve more, what are we going to do with that spare time? Pack more into our time and more work, or are we going to get on with life? Lots of thoughts, and, you know, hats off to all the colleagues and peers out there in the community that have also passed thoughts around how they've reacted and thought about Copilot Wave 2. I'm sure there's going to be more reflections and reactions as these tools actually arrive. Some of them are going to take a while to arrive. Some of them apparently were supposed to be available on the day, but aren't yet. And you know who you are. So let's hope that the future is not too far around the corner, that we can see for ourselves what is the right level for us as individuals to take advantage of AI. Do we dive in ahead, completely immersed, enthusiastic about everything, like Copilot can do no wrong? Or do we just pick and choose what is going to be useful to us and not have to start our day in Copilot and use it at every step of the day? That's me. There's my thoughts. I think I've tried to finish this talk off a few times now. You know what? And I'm finished for the day. And Copilot hasn't helped me to achieve more here. It's just been this topic of my conversation. We'll see you again soon. Bye for now.